On a quiet summer evening in 2017, the small town of Eden Township, Pennsylvania, was shaken to its core. In a place where life seemed predictable and safe, an unimaginable tragedy unfolded, one meticulously planned by an individual battling inner demons and a dangerous obsession. Born September 17, 1992, Randy Robert Stair grew up in Dallas, Pennsylvania, in a seemingly stable middle class household. From an early age, he exhibited signs of being a quiet and introverted child. While other kids were socializing and playing sports, Randy was usually alone. His family described him as shy but creative, and he often spent hours by himself in his room, immersed in his own world of thoughts and stories. By Randy's teenage years, he had developed a deep love for filmmaking. He admired directors and dreamed of becoming a successful content creator. At the age of 12, he began making home movies using a camcorder, and in 2008, he launched his first YouTube channel called Pioneer Productions, under the name Andrew Blaze. His early content consisted of mostly random skits, parodies, commercials, and experimental videos. These videos often reflected an awkward but ambitious attempt to carve an online niche, though his viewership at first was minimal. Over the years, Randy's passion intensified. He created characters and storylines and would even cast himself in multiple roles. However, as time went on, his disappointment grew. The internet remained indifferent. He tried new series, including one called The Randy Stair Show, but the reception remained lukewarm. This rejection hit him particularly hard, feeding into his growing self-loathing and deepening depression. As his isolation worsened, his content became increasingly unsettling and violent. His videos, which once featured awkward skits, evolved into hateful rants, disturbing monologues, and macabre storylines. Randy's fixations with mass shooters began to surface, particularly his obsession with Columbine. He spoke with admiration about the attackers, seeing them as not criminals but misunderstood martyrs. The escalation was slow but evident. Viewers, as few as they were, could track a steady descent into darkness. In 2013, Randy suffered a mental health breakdown, which he later described in his journals as a moment of clarity where he realized that he, in quote, wasn't meant for this world, end quote. He grew more obsessed with the idea of the afterlife. This marked the beginning of a drastic shift in his content and mindset. He deleted many of his old videos and began experimenting with a new animated series, one that would reflect the dark corners of his psyche. In 2015, Randy launched Ember's Ghost Squad, or EGS, a surreal and settling series centered around a reimagined version of Ember McLean, a character from the Nickelodeon show Danny Phantom, if you're familiar. In the original series, Ember was a mirror villain and a ghostly rock star, but in Randy's version, she was transformed into a seductive, violent, and guiding spirit who called lost souls to the afterlife. Ember became his muse, his obsession, and ultimately the justification for what he planned to do. EGS was presented as a ghost-themed revenge squad composed of female spirits who had died tragic deaths and now acted as supernatural adventures. Randy spent countless hours animating for the series, doing voiceover for all the characters, including the female ones, adding to eerie music and violent imagery. He created elaborate lore surrounding the squad, claiming that they existed in another dimension and could communicate with him directly. The series wasn't just creepy, it was graphically violent. Ghosts murdered bullies and authority figures, blood spilled freely in cartoon form, and as always, at the center of it was Randy's fantasy of ultimate revenge. These videos blurred the lines for Randy between fiction and delusion. They were polished, disturbing, and a direct window into his unraveling mind. In Randy's mind, Ember and the Ghost Squad were real. He believed that he had died in a past life and had been reborn into the wrong body, a female soul trapped in a male shell. He spoke about wanting to return home, and that Ember was guiding him there. These beliefs, coupled with growing gender dysphoria and feeling of worthlessness, consumed him. He rarely left his house and stopped communicating with friends and family. He kept an extensive handwritten journals and video diaries outlining the belief that death was only the escape. And he fantasized about the mass killing that would allow him to cross over and join Ember forever. Randy claimed that he once lived as a girl in a past life, and that the body he was trapped in was the wrong body. In his journals, he wrote, "I'm not a guy. I've never been one. I'm a ghost girl stuck in a hellish flesh prison. I want to go home, and Ember is the only way." The line between fantasy and reality completely dissolved. Randy believed that in the mass killing and dying in this process, he would become a ghost and join the squad. He didn't see it as a murder, he saw it as a transcendence. By 2016, Randy's planning became methodical. He recorded countless hours of footage where he spoke about his hatred for humanity, his desire for fame, and his meticulous plans for a mass shooting. He idolized the Columbine shooters and studied their tactics. He wrote scripts, designed custom animations, and scheduled uploads that would go live after his death. He viewed his act as not only a personal exit, but as a cinematic event that would finally make the world take notice. With this, his journals revealed a disturbing planning. He laid out his shooting like a film script, complete with character deaths, timing, and camera angles. He even wrote, "This will be the most beautiful massacre in history, my magnum opus." In one of his final suicide tapes, Randy revealed a disturbing detail. He had flipped a coin whether to decide whether or not he would kill others during his final act. The coin landed on yes. That single moment of chance, driven by delusion, sealed the fate of innocent people. On the night of June 7, 2017, Randy showed up to work at Way's Market in Eaton Township. He had 2 shotguns hidden in a duffel bag in his car. Before the shift, he wrote his final journal entry, saying that he was at peace with his decision and that the night would be his premiere. Once inside, he waited until after midnight when most of the employees were in the back rooms. Then, he blocked the exits with pallets and boxes. At 12:10 a.m., Randy pulled the first shotgun from his duffel bag and began his rampage. He moved through the store aisles and the backroom corridors, firing on his coworkers at close range. His first victim was 63-year-old Terry Sterling, who was shot in the back room. Next, Randy encountered 25-year-old Victoria Brong and 47-year-old Brian Hayes. Both were killed almost instantly. The sound of gunfire echoed through the empty store. Kristen Newell, another employee, heard the gunshots and managed to hide before escaping through a back entrance. She ran to a nearby business and called 911. Security cameras captured Randy calmly walking through the store with his weapon. He fired several shots at equipment and walls before returning to the backroom area. At approximately 12:13 a.m., just 3 minutes after his attack began, Randy sat down and took his own life with a self-inflicted gunshot. The entire event had lasted less than 5 minutes, but its impact would last forever. In the hours after his death, his disturbing online footprint came to light. He had scheduled a final video to upload, the title being The Westboro High Massacre, along with the zip file containing his journals, videos, animations, and manifesto. Over 800 pages of writing, all signed by Andrew Blaze. The tragedy left the community devastated and searching for answers. Way's Market closed for a few days. Family members of the victims were left with grief and unanswerable questions. How could it have been prevented? Should someone have seen this coming? The story of Randy Stair is the grim reminder of the deadly consequences of unchecked mental illness, isolation, and the dark corners of the internet where fantasy and violence collide. His legacy should not be the horror he inflicted, but the lives he cut short. Terry Sterling, Victoria Brong, and Brian Hayes. Their names deserve to be remembered. If you or someone you know is struggling, please speak up. Help is available. You are not alone. Anyways, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this case. This is one of the most interesting cases to me just by the pure psychology behind the motive. This is my first video I have made on this YouTube channel, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. Again, please, if you're struggling or know someone who's struggling with any mental illnesses, please don't stay silent. You are not alone. You can get through this. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.